Hello everybody, and this is Chaos with Chaos Esports Productions, bringing you another viewer cast. Today we're going to be looking at PvZ submitted by Caelum. Now, specifically he wanted me to take a look at his early game. Early game in PvZ is very, very crucial because it obviously sets you up for your mid and late game, and some decisions that are made early game can definitely have major impacts in the later game. So, definitely going to be looking at that today. Overall, I think this is actually a fairly decently played game. There are a couple small details that need to be looked at, and we'll get into that as things go on. So, we're going to go ahead and speed this up a little bit, and we will talk about the build. Now, so far, as I see, he's going for a standard Forge Fast Expand build. And if you're going to go for a Gateway Expand, Pylon's going to be in the main, with the Pylon down here pretty much indicates to the Zerg player that he's going to be going for a Forge Fast Expand. So basically once he gets the scout off, he's going to know what he's dealing with. Now, one thing that you do notice is that he's taking an early gas, and you kind of just come here, pick off a couple, and you don't really go back to check it to see if he cancels it. If he gets it up to like 75% health, you're pretty much guaranteed that he's going to finish it, and you know you're going to be dealing with speedlings to begin with. So, just small little things to note. You notice there's no expansion at this point. And back at home, building up your forge, doing everything that's more or less needed. Production tab up. So, you patrol right here. At this point, since you haven't seen a hatchery go down and you're 3 minutes into the game, you definitely want to go up, check his spawning pool, see how the timing's going, and get an idea of whether or not your opponent's going to be doing, an aggressive build. Because, I mean, at this point, you have no indication that he's going to be expanding anytime soon. So, getting the gateway up, everything's looking pretty good. So you come up, you scout the spawning pool, and you don't really see anything. Now, when you come back down, let's see, do you scout the natural? I don't recall. Speed up a little. Okay, so no scouting of the natural yet. You see no natural. Now, at this point, you should probably start worrying that your opponent's going to be doing something. Obviously, since he doesn't have a natural and you've already taken yours, you're in. Okay, so at this point, you know that he's potentially going for a very aggressive build. So you definitely want to be getting up your cannon, probably at least one more cannon just in case, because you don't know what's going on. You do see a macro hatch going down, so this should be a pretty good indication that he could potentially be aggressive. Now, I don't think in this game he actually is aggressive, but definitely something you want to be cautious about. So, when you go for this Forge Fast Expand style play, obviously you're delaying your tech significantly by getting your Forge first as opposed to a gateway, and it's going to limit you as far as early game pressure that you can apply. And I noticed that as this game goes on, you pretty much don't apply pressure until you feel like you're at, an ample enough army. You go in here, you scout the natural, you see some stuff. You haven't really scouted anything. Now, one thing you do see is that he has taken gas down on the natural. So, for him to have taken that gas on the natural, that is basically saying, hey, I am teching, and you need to be ready for just about anything at this point. Now, you don't have any indication what tech path he's choosing, and you're choosing to expand. And I think it's okay, but it's definitely going to be a problem if, he's going for really fast mutas and you're not worrying about, getting out units to deal with that. So definitely throwing down a Hallucinated Phoenix at this point would definitely be a good idea. So starting to get your Immortals out. I think going Robo is a good choice because a lot of players right now are tending to favor the Roach Hydra playstyle as opposed to a Ling Muta. Yeah, you'll see Ling Muta on occasion, but I think going Robo is probably the better of the two options. And then obviously you can throw your Twilight Council and get Blink and start to worry about Storm and Archons and things like that. So, looking good. Starting to get your third up. Now, you have this pylon down here. He scouts it, unfortunately. You scout with the Hallucinated Phoenix. Now, you do come in here with an Observer, which is good. So you now know his composition. So you're getting Zealot legs. As far as upgrades, yeah, you haven't gotten Blink yet. Now, Zealots versus Swarm Host are just absolutely horrible. Because obviously Swarm Hosts, they spit out their little swarms, and those are free units for units that cost 100 minerals apiece. So definitely, I think Blink would probably be a better option because that gives you the ability to maneuver around the Swarm Hosts. But like I said, this is a very passive game, so it's not exactly a problem for you. So getting out your Colossus, which is a good move because obviously you're going to need the area effective damage when it comes to dealing with the Swarm Host. Do you have, let's see, yeah, you have 2 Robo-Bays, probably a good option. Overall, like I said, I don't think this game is played terribly. It's just, there are just small things as far as engagements go that I think could be dealt with a little bit better. He throws away some Lings, very fortunate for you. So at this point you're starting Storm, which is definitely a good move. How are you doing upgrades wise? Upgrades, you're 3-3 already. Yeah, you're pretty much rocking. And now you're starting to move out since you're maxed out. So doing pretty good. So this is kind of a, I probably wouldn't have engaged that personally, because when you're dealing with Swarm Hosts, you're basically giving him units, giving him free stuff that he's killed for free. I mean, it's pretty simple. So backing off of that engagement and trying to reposition, maybe like trying to attack down here and come around from the back as opposed to directly engaging it would probably be a better option. Fortunately for you, he throws his Corruptors away and they just more or less insta-die. But yeah, he's got a lot of Swarm Hosts, so directly engaging this army is not going to be simple. Now, fortunately enough for you, he didn't really have any static defenses here. Like most players who go Swarm Host will get a whole bunch of Spine Crawlers, and that will make things just absolutely difficult, because the Spine Crawlers will kind of hold you off just enough until he gets like another round of stuff, and then he just trades absolutely amazingly against this army. So, but overall, you actually come in here and more or less take out all the Swarm Hosts, which is excellent. Puts you in a really, really good spot. Now, these Corruptors are going to pretty much annihilate your Colossus, which is not the best thing in the world, but I guess, you know, you trade very well. Now, at this point, you have killed all of his Swarm Hosts. Now, I can't remember what league this is. I think it's like silver or gold. But I think overall, a person who lost that big of an army, the likelihood of him being able to recover from that in a short period of time is probably slim to none. So from this, you should be definitely going and applying lots of pressure. And I think that's what you ultimately end up doing. You come in here, and then you sit here for a little while, push up a little further, wait for Colossus. And now, at this point, trying to go into the third is probably not a bad idea, but since, obviously, you see all these spines, and he's going Swarm Host, so his Swarm Hosts are probably going to be sitting up here. So he's going to be spewing down larvae, or swarms down here to take out your army, and you're not going to be in a very good position to deal with it. The likelihood of them being sitting over here, probably slim to none. So, honestly, I think engaging the third is probably not the best option. You probably would have wanted to go into the natural, because that's where his army's going to be, you know, most likely. So yeah, so Swarm Hosts come in here, and then you kind of back off, and pretty one-sided at this point. You start to trade really badly, when he's just Corruptor Swarm Host. So kind of a little bit of an issue. Getting out Archons, things are looking pretty good. You took out his third, which is awesome. So yeah, I think overall, okay, DT's got sent in, kind of interesting. Yeah, I think overall you executed your early game fairly well for the league you're in. Just things to be aware of, you definitely need to scout a little bit more and get a better idea of what your opponent is doing early game, because you really had no clue up until probably about the 10-minute mark that he was going Swarm Host. So let's take a quick gander back at the 10-minute mark and see where we were at. So yeah, you were taking your third. At this point, you haven't scouted anything. You have no idea what your opponent's going. You do know that he's got a extra gas. So at this point, you should have already had a hallucinated Phoenix. And if we look at everybody, you would already have an indication that he was going Swarm Host if you had already scouted by now, because this appears to have been up for a little while. So yeah, so we can go ahead and get back to where we were. Just kind of building up your army, getting maxed out again, getting up your 5th base. Yeah, I think overall, the way you expanded, like all of the mechanical things were okay. I think things you need to work on is definitely scouting in the early game. The build order was okay for a Forge Fast Expand. I didn't really have any issues with it as far as timings. Personally, I prefer to go to a Gateway Expand type build, so feel free to check out some of my other videos for that. I know a lot of my recent PvZs have turned out fairly well as far as mechanics of the build. And then come in here, annihilate everything, and he GG's. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed the cast of your game. Let me know what you think. If you have any other questions more specific than the early game, feel free to shoot that in the comments. Also, if you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. Always enjoy all the comments below. Feel free to like, favorite, share with your friends. Get them in here so they can start learning SC2. Also, if you'd like me to cast one of your games, check out the description. There's an email address with some information that you can send to me, and I will cast your game. So, this is Chaos, and I am signing off.